Hello, I'm Odin.
And it's me, Bumble Scorpion.
And today is the next video, the next installment.
More parts for my world domination.
Of creating Mechagodzilla. Today, I'm gonna make the legs and fix the mecha shorts from the previous video. You may be asking, what's been the delay? Well, the last time when I got done with making the mecha shorts or the mecha undies or whatever, I persevered and pushed through and got the video done. However, I was completely unhappy with how the whole front half ended up. So one of the things I've been doing is, well, procrastinating because I was really upset with the project. But what I've been doing is reworking the front of the shorts. So I've got the front totally rebuilt. What ended up happening was when I went to cut the two halves out, I didn't rotate the part to make a left and a right side. I kind of cut a right side and a right side. And the pieces are big enough that the curve left over in the foam from it being rolled up caused an issue where when I glued it together, it went offset. Kind of, I'm exaggerating here, but it was enough. And then the belt didn't fix it, and then it just went downhill from there. Each additional thing I did to it to try and push the project along compounded on the fact that my base wasn't equal and I couldn't mentally get past it, even though it was probably fine and it probably would have been fine, but I couldn't push past it. So I ripped everything off, started over again. I'm happier with where this is now, and now I'm actually moving ahead. So one of the things I did after getting the shorts recut was I made sure that I figured out what the pattern of this piece was, because now I need to make the thighs that are actually going to attach to it. What this will end up being is a pattern for the bit of vinyl that's going to attach the accordion piece to this piece, but I can actually use this as well for figuring out where I need the top of the thigh to go. So I've got the measurements of my leg. I've got the beginnings of my truncated cone pattern, and I've got all that taped together. Now I'm going to start adding pieces to it and see if I can't make a paper pattern that'll fit the way I want it to so I can start cutting foam. Did you follow all that? I used the computer to make my paper pattern, cut it out, taped it together, and checked the fit. Maybe I should go ahead and reprint this just a little bit bigger. What if I make it just like 5% bigger? I'll just make it like 5% bigger. I printed a new one at 105% size and tested again. Of course, the thickness of the foam will increase too. So I'm going to go with that piece. So this is about where the leg is. So it doesn't need much, does it? What it needs is an arc on the outside of the thigh to match where the hip is. After drawing the pattern again on a large sheet of paper, I used the hip pattern to get the curve for the top of the thigh. Taped it all together again, and now it's starting to look like what I want. I even checked how it looks with the mecha shorts piece. Now I have a place to start. I copied this third paper pattern onto cardboard. I want to use this pattern a few times, and the thicker material is going to work better. I can still tape it together and try it out. Make a few adjustments where it wrinkled. And I am purposefully trying the part on over my jeans. I won't wear jeans inside the costume, but if it works with that much bulk in the way, then it should work just fine without. Because I kept adjusting the cardboard until it no longer wrinkled when I moved, I felt like I could start cutting foam. I have the 3 lines on the foam again. These are the accent lines, or the peaks that run down the legs, just like they did on the arms. To get the crease, I used my Dremel with the router base attachment and set the bit cutting depth to be about 4 millimeters. That way it won't cut all the way through the 6 millimeter thick foam. And by cutting both ways, first pushing away from me and then pulling it back towards me, both sides of the V groove are clean. I just have this fuzzy leftover piece in the middle. Once it's pulled out, I can cut the edges to the pencil lines. The V groove on the edges are so much nicer when it's trimmed after I use the Dremel. This line I don't have to do the route on because I only need 4 faces on a side of the leg. This actually just marks the center outside seam. So unlike on your jeans, this is just the outside seam. So I need to transfer this to the outside on both. Then I can glue the seams with contact cement. And when the cement is dry and sticky, I can fold them into the crease that they need to be. I also use the contact cement to glue the side seams, making the basic shape of the thigh. I use the cardboard pattern again to trace just the top curve onto a smaller piece of foam. Then I draw a new line just over an inch away. This will be the top band that fits around the thigh. And by using my pattern again, the curves lined up on this band and the top of the thigh piece. And you can see that I didn't wrap this 6mm piece all the way around. I left the little section open. And this part I'm going to fill with 2mm foam, just to reduce the amount of material that's between my legs. The bottom edge isn't just a band. There's also a 10mm thick knee piece. Then I cut a strip of 6mm to finish the lower trim. There we go. It's amazing how well those extra rings help to really stiffen things like this up. All right, I just need the outside seam, so I need the band that goes here. I need a short, thin band that goes in here. Do I have enough left over? 2? I do. Well, I'll just use that. After I get the 2mm thick band on the inside of each thigh, then I cut out a 6mm band for the outside seam on each of the thighs. Finally have all the banding put on, right? I've got the kneecaps, I've got the bands that go around the bottom, I've got the bands that go around the top. Now there's a ton of rivets that go on. The majority of the small rivets I'll put on all at once I have the lower part of the legs finished. But there's some big ones that go down the sides here. I'm gonna go do those now because I wanna do that now. To make these large rivets, I ordered some different sizes of EVA foam balls. The black ones are just a little bit bigger than the yellow ones. The black balls I can just cut in half. But to make the yellow balls just a little bit shorter, I cut out a section from the middle. That way, on the top and the bottom, the first and last rivets, they'll both be slightly larger than the 3 yellow middle ones. It would be nicer to just order them all the exact size that I want, but finding smooth EVA foam balls that don't have golf ball dimples all over them is really not that easy. Those ones I wanted to put on now. I don't know why. I was excited about having the big rivet heads on there now. The rest of the rivets are going to be more of the same chainmail dots that I've been super gluing on the rest of the costume. Plus I need to make the knee spikes, right? Because Mechagodzilla needs his knee missiles. But for the moment, I'm going to set the thighs aside and I'm going to get the calves made. And then once those are made, then I'll go ahead and put all the dots on everything. So I need to start over with another pattern. I printed out a new truncated cone pattern for my lower leg. And this time I can just extend the 3 lines from the thigh pattern, which is much easier than figuring it out from scratch again. And I'm not going to make as many pieces for this pattern. I won't need a cardboard version. I use my pattern notchers again to mark the ends of each V-groove line. And I can mark the notches on my 4mm thick foam when I trace the pattern. Then I connect the dots. I did this the same way on the thigh as well, I just didn't really talk about it earlier. Peel the fuzz, they don't all remove this nicely in this one long piece, most just break up into little bits. Then you add contact cement, and you fold them up, and make them round. Not only is that fine, that doesn't seem like it's too long. I know you can't see anything at all, sorry about that, but it looks like they might be too long, but I don't think so. I think these will be just fine. There are a number of parts that I need to add for the lower legs. There's the band that goes around the top, and the vertical bands on the outer seams. There are 2 big panels over the calf. There's an upper arc panel and a lower arc that's just over the heel. And then another band down the inside of each leg to finish the calf panels. Then one more partial band around the top to break up the layers. because all of these white panels that I'm adding, well, each one of them is cut from 6mm foam. From the front, there's not much to see for the shins. All the detail seems to be around the backside, which is probably just to help make them sturdy, or I'm not sure. It looks like the actual suit, that these pieces may have been separate, or at least there's a space between this inner piece and one of these other pieces that might have helped with flexibility. But I can't tell 100%, and I'm not too worried about it, so I'm gonna go ahead and make mine solid. But basically, that's the lower legs. The only big detail I got left is the missile that goes on the knee, the one big spike. It's actually, somehow it's a reloading missile that's on his knee, but it's all good. It's Mechagodzilla, he can have whatever he wants, and I need to make a pair of knee missiles. Before I got going on the knee missile, I remembered that I needed the large rivets that run down the outside of the leg. And just like I did in the thigh, I'm cutting some of the black EVA foam balls in half for the largest ones, and then I cut a section out of the middle of the yellow balls, just to make them that little bit shorter again. And the top and the bottom and each side is a black rivet. And the middle 4 yellow ones are all evenly spaced out. I draw my placement with a pencil and use contact cement to stick all the large rivets on. Both seams on each leg are the same. Did I make legs or did I make trash cans? I made legs. All right, before I said they were finished, now they're actually closer to being finished. I've got the rivets on, which was one of those weird details that attracted me to this costume. I think I'm gonna go ahead and super glue the rivets around the front, and with the lower legs, that's it. Those little black rivets I keep gluing on all the legs. There's only a line around the front half of the calf here. This is all clean. Double checking? Yeah. So, okay, I won't do that. I marked every 20mm around the front for placement for the foam rivet dots, and it turns out that 20mm is way too close for right here. I mean, it doesn't look bad, it's just a little crowded maybe. And I am sticking it down with super glue, so I feel pretty committed to the spacing at this point. But I feel like less will be more on the thigh, so I increase the space between each rivet to 40mm. And that is looking a lot better to me. There are 2 rows on each knee. There's an upper row and a lower one. I need a couple of large rivets for the insides of the legs to go here, and a knee spike. Now, the large rivets that I need to make this time are for the inside of each thigh. See, I didn't want to make them the same as the others. I wanted to cut a bunch from 4mm wet the foam in 2 different size diameters, because that way they'll be flat, so they shouldn't catch on each other as much, and hopefully not peel themselves off, like I really think one of those half-dome hemisphere shapes would. And they match the style of the tiny rivets on the knees, so I'm okay with this plan. For the knee spike missiles, I'm going to make them like I did the fingers. I wrap a 30mm EVA dowel with 6mm foam, so it's actually a little thicker. Then I cut them into cylinders, 42mm wide and 2 inches tall. I use the cutoff wheel on my Dremel to cut the head off of a drywall screw, so I can chuck it into my drill and drill the screw into the cylinder. Now, as I spin the drill and push the foam onto the belt sander, I can make a spike out of solid EVA foam. And if I hold it still, I can make a flat-sided spike, but if I rock the drill slightly back and forth, I can get one that's got more of a rounded or bullet shape, because the spikes on his knees need to be more bullet-shaped. The base is just a truncated cone pattern. It's rolled from 4mm foam and glued to the bottom of the spike, and then the spike is glued to the knee. All the materials I use for this video, I picked up locally. I put a part list in the description. So this really feels like a weird place to end the video. It feels weird to me because it's always been my habit and my desire that each video is complete. I mean, we've done like these multi-step videos before, which isn't true, but even because the whole suit isn't complete, but even then, each part, there was this big push to get each part complete. That was true for almost every piece in the Gundam, and it's been true for almost every piece in Mechagodzilla up to now. At this point, I've got legs made. I've got an upper leg, I've got a lower leg, I'm good. I've got a really good, solid idea on how to do the accordion piece. This is gonna happen. But what I wanna do is get the feet made. And I wanna get the tail made, because things can change depending on how that stuff comes together. I know I'm gonna need to make a cutout in the front of the leg to accommodate how it fits over the foot. But I don't have the foot, so I can't make the cutout right. So if I make the cutout too big, now I gotta fix it by gluing something to it, and I got these weird cutout seams in the front that I don't want because they're not supposed to be there. Nitpicky stuff when I've got plenty of other problems, but let me nitpick what I want to nitpick. So in the end, the plan now is get Mechagodzilla built. I'm gonna get him finished. I'm gonna get his feet made, I'm gonna get the tail made, and then everything will get painted at once. And I think I'm gonna end up with a much better product doing it that way, because honestly, that's the right way to do it. This piecemeal stuff to make full videos, that's better for the basic formula of my channel, but I think I'm gonna have a better Mechagodzilla if I just build everything out and fix it all and then paint it all in the very end. So that's what I wanna do. And I hope that you'll stick with me for the remainder of this build, because it's gonna get finished up this summer. I'm gonna have a full Mechagodzilla I can stomp around in the first weekend in September. And I'm gonna build it out of foam, and I'm gonna build it out of vinyl, and I'm gonna build it right here with you, because this is how Odin makes.
I'll take them. Yeah. Can I get two? Can I get one, like, dry clean? Are these dry cleanable? How do you clean these things? These are great. I like it. Oh yeah, I'm really glad. I was afraid I was gonna get stuck, like putting a towel around my waist. That was all I was ever gonna get. But look at these. Yeah, this is being dressed for success.
I want to thank Max Kirkland, the NPCs, and all of my Patreon supporters. My Patreon support is the #1 thing that makes this show possible. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe. Have an idea for something for me to make? Please leave a comment below. And if you make any of these projects, you can send me a picture.